Who doesn't love a good what's your favorite loadout for the apocalypse, doomsday, whatever type video? I get asked fairly often my favorite rifle setup combo, accessories, what would I put, that kind of stuff. Because I have a variety of different setups. They're all pretty similar in a lot of ways. But if I had to pick a clear-cut favorite or my very favorite setup, it would be a no-brainer. I'd have an answer for you in a millisecond. So I want to talk through what that is, which is this one. This is my ADM, so American Defense Manufacturing Mod 2 5.56 gun. It's a 14.5 pin and weld that has a Surefire 3-prong on it, so non-ported muzzle device. It already comes with a Geisley 2-stage trigger. It already comes with the Radiant Arms Raptor charging handle, ambi. It's got ambidextrous controls, so ambi, if you care about such stuff. Magazine release is there, bolt release is there. The only things I've changed from the factory is I did change the stock. It comes with a mag pull. I think it's STR. Instead I put a CTR on it. I like the buttstock. It's not quite horseshoe shaped, but I like more of the contour in the buttstock. I just feel like it sits on my shoulder a little bit better. So I prefer that one. It's pretty mild. If not, I could shoot the STR also and be just fine. So I changed out the buttstock. Otherwise, an H2 buffer. I shoot it suppressed a fair bit. And that's pretty much it. Otherwise, the rifle is just exactly as it came from them. Other than being shot a bunch. The coating on the bolt is the other thing worth mentioning. I don't remember if it's NP3 or what the coating is, but it's super slick. I really like that because you just hose it off with gun oil if you want and wipe it clean with a paper towel, and that's it. Nothing sticks to it at all. It's really easy to clean up and very smooth. Feels like the coating has some amount of lubricity in it also because just you don't want to run these dry. But it doesn't, it seems like it's just slicker as far as the material goes compared to a Parkerized or whatever the term they use for it, but they have just like the mil-spec style bolts, which are a rougher finish that looks like more of a spray-on, kind of a Parkerized finish. Those seem to be a little bit more porous, in my opinion, and although I suppose they do soak up oil, they're just tougher to clean or more to scrub on. So I like the fact that this all just wipes clean very, very easily. As far as accessories, Hollow Sun, this is the Ames red dot, AEMS. Told you pronounce it Ames. The thing I like about this is, number one, they're not super expensive. You can change the reticle on it easily. So a dot, a circle with a dot in the center, or just a circle, depending on what you want. I use this as the plain dot for the majority of my shooting. If I'm shooting, especially at distance, I like just the plain dot. If it's the point where I want to use an offset, I'll call it CQB distances, but you understand what I'm saying. Close distances where I want to use the mechanical offset, then you could just use the bottom of the circle as your hash, which is very helpful for hold-offs. So that's my favorite optic as of right now. It's an American Defense mount, so this is their QD mount, which is super solid, and it's a lower, so you can also adjust the height of the mount, or they sell different heights. So you could have co-witness, lower third, 2.2, 1.93, all that kind of stuff. This one's a lower third co-witness, which is my favorite optic height, so that's what that's set up at. For sling, by far my favorite is the T-Rex sling. Couple reasons. It's easy to adjust. So the slider, and I know it's pretty similar, but the tri-glider, the way you adjust the length, it's got just this little loop that you grab. There are some other brands that have tabs or pulleys, stuff like that to grab onto. I've heard stories about those breaking or intentionally being designed to break as a weak point in case you get something snagged, whatever. I don't do anything that cool with it. I like the way that this one adjusts so easily. The loop to adjust the sling is easy to get a hold of. Probably notice the tape. The standard advice is once you get the sling set to the distance you want or the length, the settings, that you cut it off and burn. So you do the QDs to attach where it is and then burn the extra just so you wouldn't have the extra slack. I reserve the right to change my opinion about how I want my sling set up by the day if I see somebody do something better, or maybe I want to try something different. So instead, I just kind of loop back and forth the extra material, then I tape it, so that way I've not cut it short at all, and if I want to move and have, for example, the sling adjusted to the very, very front of the handguard and the very, very butt of the gun, I've got plenty of length left to do that. The other thing I like about the T-Rex sling is it's got padding on it. I'm a wimp. And if you use a sling without padding, you quickly appreciate slings that do have it, especially if you're on the range for all day long or an extended period of time. The padding on the sling is a big help. For the places I like to mount the sling is just back of the receiver under the castle nut for the back, and then the front, just right in front of the forearm, basically. Or right in front of the receiver is where I have the front mount set up. This style from ADM is not built into the forearm. Instead, it's just a little Picatinny mount that goes across the top of the rail, so you can adjust what length you want it at, and it's not built into the forearm in a way that you're stuck for how you want it set. Other accessories. This thing shoots like a pellet gun with this. So Surefire RC3 is my go-to can. So it's nice to throw that bad boy if I want it, which works as somewhat of a recoil delete. It's very pleasurable to shoot with that on it. Shoots very soft, just a little bit of a push, which then is taxing of my ability to not want to control the gun. The less the rifle kicks, the more I want to do something or help it. So this makes me really sensitive to just hold the rifle still. Don't add any inputs. Just press the trigger without adding or changing my inputs to it and just hold it neutral. So with the RC3, it's very nice to shoot. For lights, not that I do anything cool with it, but I like having the cool stuff. This is a Surefire turbo light on their Pro mount. So the way the Pro mount works is right here. There's this little cleat. It comes with two of them, an M-lock and a Picatinny, that then attaches this little screw right here, this joint, and the whole thing swivels. So with it attached like this, you could swivel it outwards, inwards, whatever you want. I have it set up where it's very close to the rail, kind of hugging right there, so it's very minimal. When you look at it from the side, it just kind of blends in to that void on the rail right there. And the Turbo Series is, of course, boss because it's very high candela, very concentrated beam. This thing can go like 100 meters. You still see just like the bat signal shining on something, which is cool. It's also dual fuel, so it comes with a rechargeable battery, or you could use two CR123s if you want to. As far as a switch, hopefully I won't get it wrong. I think this is SR07. And they make a 7 and a 9, which is just talking about how long the cable is. But this SR switch I like, so it's momentary by just pressing it here if you want to, or there's a button on the top so you could press or click it all the way for constant on. So you've got click it for constant or just press for momentary. I also use this switch as a reference point for my hand. So when I'm regularly shooting, I just put my thumb on the back part of this switch, this back little ridge. There's no amount of force I can push into it that'll actually activate the light. Then if I want to activate it, all I have to do is just move my thumb forward a little bit and I can activate it. But this just gives me a repeatable reference point to make sure my support hand is in the right spot. Also on the light, this is the dual switch one. So it's got the regular socket, the tape switch, but there's also a button here. So, you know, during the apocalypse, if there's some kind of radiation or zombie something, a zombie maybe eats through the cord, then I could still press the button manually to activate my light. If a zombie would somehow eat through the cord on the tapes, cabling on the tape switch. But I think that's it. This is nothing specially like customized or hand built by any means. This is all stuff you could just buy from a company and put together. But this is by far my favorite setup. The gun, with or without the can, just, I won't know the details, but there is some science between gas port size and dwell time and all these kind of things. The science that goes into it, ADM definitely has that figured out, because with whatever the gas port or the way it's set up, all I did was just put an H2 buffer in it, and it shoots, well, it shot fine with the H also, but I was told if I'm going to run a can, I should do an H2, so I just did what the man says. And it shoots very soft, just like a little bit of a push, but it's not violent at all. 100% reliable with any ammo I want to put in it. That's it. I like the shape of the form. I like just the way the gun feels in my hands. It's well, like Ferris Bueller would say, it is so choice, and if you have the means, I highly recommend it. Then, again, if you want to add the recoil delete with the RC3 on it, and it's just pretty boss. So anyway, that's my favorite rifle setup. Nothing else I have comes close as of this time. If I had to pick a favorite rifle to go shooting, it would be this one set up like this every time. So let me know what you think in the comments. How far off base I am, what rifle you have is better, any of that kind of stuff, or just comments or observations. Anyway, appreciate you watching. Hopefully that's helpful as to how I at least have my rifle set up. Give you something to think about maybe when you're looking at your own setup.